Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. My name, of course, is John Campea. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we save some time at the end to take some live questions. But here on Open Mic, well, that's all we do. It's just open live questions so we can talk about whatever we want, mostly about movies, a little bit of TV, even a few little sports questions thrown in here and there. I can tell you right now, I'm not having a good day. I started my day watching my Patriots get their asses handed to them and watch the GOAT, the greatest player of all time, Tom Brady, just play the worst game I've ever seen him play. And they also, somebody explain this to me, how do you beat the Green Bay Packers and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, yet lose to the Titans and lose like they did? I'm just flabbergasted. As you can tell, I'm a little bit frustrated today. I might be in one of those moods today. Anyway, we got a whole bunch of questions that you guys have already started sending in, I see in the live chat board. So let's dive over to the live chat board right now and get things started on this episode of Open Mic. Now we're going to start things off here with Koba. And Koba writes in, with today marking 100 years since the end of World War I, what are some of your favorite movies based about World War I? Oh man, that's a good question. I can't even remember which movies are based on World War I off the top of my head. Like, I remember a while ago, a long time ago, somebody asked a question about, hey, why are so many more movies in the higher profile movies based on World War II than World War I? And I talked about, well, it's a little closer in history. There was a bigger American involvement there and blah, blah, blah. So there were a whole bunch of different reasons. The one movie that comes to the top of my head when I think about World War I films is a relatively recent one. And I think it's a terribly underrated film. Even though it was nominated for Best Picture, I don't think this is a movie that gets the credit it's due, and that is War Horse. I thought War Horse was fantastic. Now, again, I would have to sit down and think about it and sort out in my head, hey, which ones of those films are actually based on World War I and not World War II? I'd have to sort that out. But the first movie that jumps into my head is War Horse. It's a movie I think is tragically underrated. To be honest, I don't think people give that movie the credit that it deserves. I think it's a magnificent movie. And if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Alien SEDL writes, did you ever watch the Boondock Saints movie? Yes, I did. I love the Boondock Saints movies. I loved them both. And it's always been one of those cinematic mysteries and oddities. How did Boondock Saints 3 never happen? Now, there are documentaries about all the behind-the-scenes drama and all that kind of stuff, but that is a film I really wish had gotten made. Boondock Saints 3, especially with the whole open end thing that they do with Boondock Saints 2, that guys are actually getting recruited into some big secret thing. It's a travesty that Boondock Saints 3 never happened. I loved Boondock Saints. You know what? I believe I heard once that the brothers in Boondock Saints were part of the inspiration for the Winchester brothers in Supernatural. And the Boondock Saints brothers are amazing, so I wish we had gotten that third one, man. Curtis Lopez writes, going back to Hogwarts house question I asked you before, I see you as a Gryffindor or maybe a Ravenclaw. Well, yeah, so I remember now, Curtis had asked me which Potter house am I, or which Hogwarts, house am I. Now, like, I'm not into Harry Potter enough to know which one I really belong to, whether it's Hufflepuff or Gryffindor or Ravenclaw or Slytherin. And is there another one? Is it just 4? Are there 5? I can't even remember. Now, Anne can tell you which house she is easily. Cody Miller and his wife, Allie, they could tell you in a heartbeat what their houses are, for sure. So there's that. So Gryffindor or Ravenclaw. I believe Anne once told me she thought I was Gryffindor. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, to be honest with you, again, because I know Harry Potter from the movies. I haven't really read the books at all. And they don't really go into the importance of the houses all that much in the movie, so I don't know. I don't remember. Hey, by the way, I'm going to let you guys know something here. And it's not 100% guarantee, but this is what it looks like is happening. I'm going to be starting a new weekly podcast, audio-only podcast, with myself, Robert Meyer Burnett, and the aforementioned Cody Miller. Robert and Cody and I have been talking, and, Cody is The dude is a walking book of knowledge when it comes to movies and pop culture and stuff like that. Like, it's great. He's a gold medalist Olympian. And he's also like psychotically obsessed with movies. It's really rather crazy. And he was telling me that him and his wife, Allie, they have over 100 Harry Potter pops. Like, I've got a bunch of pops, but he's got over 100 just Harry Potter pops. I didn't even know 100 Harry Potter pops existed. Anyway, gold medal Olympian Cody Miller, myself, and Robert Meyer Burnett are going to be starting a weekly podcast called The Gold Standard. And we're working on the title, but what we're kind of thinking it's going to be called is The Gold Standard. And yeah, we pretty much sell that that's what we want to do. We're thinking we're going to start it probably in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, keep your eyes open for that. Looking forward to it. And because I can tell you right now, the first thing I will ask Cody on our first episode of The Gold Standard is, I will say, hey, Cody, a guy named Curtis asked me on my show, which house am I? You know way more about Harry Potter than me. What house am I? And maybe he'll be able to answer that. All right, we'll move on here to Randall Cartwright, who writes, praying for you, man, with all the fires happening. Yeah, the fires happening in California are outrageous. However, they aren't really anywhere near me. Now, you guys remember there's a fire about a year or two ago that literally I walked out on the street and held up my camera, and the hills behind my house, the mountains behind my house were just on fire. The sky was glowing red and all that kind of stuff. Now, fortunately, it didn't get any closer to my place than that. But this time around, while the fires are worse and it's affecting a lot of people's lives, man, save your prayers for them. I'm in Burbank, California. The fires really don't seem to be anywhere near me. So turn your concern and your prayers for those people who are being affected, because it's affecting a lot of people, man. I got to bite my tongue about something, so I'm going to bite my tongue for now and just move on. But thank you for your well wishes, Randall. I really appreciate that. All right. Curtis Lopez writes again, saw Paddington 2 the other day. Good on you, man. I was charmed within the first 10 minutes. What is there not to be charmed with? You know, I still get emails and tweets from people because I've been saying that if Paddington 3, if it gets made, and there's talks of them making another one, but nothing greenlit yet. But I've been saying lately, if a Paddington 3 gets made, and it's even remotely in the same neighborhood quality-wise as Paddington 1 and 2, it is instantly in the discussion of greatest trilogies of all time. It's in the top 5. Paddington 1 and 2 are both masterpieces. Paddington 2 is the highest critically rated film of all history on Rotten Tomatoes. 100% critic rating with over 211 reviews. There are a few other 100% movies, but they don't have as many reviews. And the more reviews there are, the harder it is to maintain that 100%. Because even if one critic gives us a negative review, that 100% drops down to 99. So Paddington 2, and they're both magnificent films. Magnificent films. And if Paddington 3 comes close, bang on. So I'm really glad you had a chance. I hope you saw the first one, Curtis, because if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you get back and watch the first one as well. I'm Upset writes, well, it happened. Venom made more than Justice League. Shocked? I'm not going to say shocked, but I will say really surprised. I'm not going to go into detail here. I'm upset because it is going to be one of our main topics tomorrow on the John Campea show. But I will say this. I did not think it was going to do as big in China as it did. I really didn't. And I did not see, because somebody asked me about it maybe a week and a half ago. Somebody asked me, do I think that Venom can catch Justice League? And I said, no, I don't. I don't think it can. And look what happened. Boom. Not only did it cross Justice League, it crossed Justice League convincingly. And now 700 million is not out of the question. Anyway, I'm going to save it because I want to talk about it on the John Campea show tomorrow. But shocked? No, but certainly surprised because I predicted it wouldn't beat Justice League. And now here we are. Look at that. All right. Curtis Lopez writes, I'm seriously hoping Paddington 3 is a Christmas movie. Paddington plus Christmas equals charm levels through the roof. I don't know. I think Paddington is a character that works in any environment. I don't think you need to make a Christmas movie about Paddington. If anything, here's the thing. If you don't make Paddington a Christmas movie, you have a world of options available to you as filmmakers as to your story and your narrative. If you make it a Christmas movie, you really limit yourself as to what kind of movie you can make, right? So I don't know. Plus, I don't think Paddington works in a Christmas release. So I'm going to disagree with you on that, Curtis. I mean, I'm dying to see it. And don't get me wrong, if they said they were doing a Paddington 3 and it was going to be a Christmas-themed movie and all that kind of stuff, I'd still be excited. I would. I just don't think it's the right approach for it. But that's just my opinion. I could be way off on that. But I think I'd like to see them stay away from the shtick of it's a Christmas movie. No, just make another Paddington movie. And forget the season that it's in. Leave yourself wide open for wherever you want your story to go and to do whatever you want with the story. Don't limit yourself by saying right off the bat it's got to be a Christmas movie. So I'm going to disagree with you. I'd still be excited, but I'm going to disagree respectfully here, Curtis. All right. Ant Banks, 1984, writes, can you imagine in Avengers 4 if the storyline is a post-apocalyptic Earth because of the snap, where it's chaos and the last resort is time travel? Well, I mean, to be honest, Ant Banks, that is the prevailing theory. I mean, there are many other theories, but one of the most predominant theories out there, that's pretty much what a lot of people assume the movie's going to be about. We already know it's going to be a storyline in a post-apocalyptic Earth because of the snap. And whether or not things are chaos, that's up in the air. And the last resort is time travel. That's kind of the operating assumption at this point. It wouldn't be way out there in left field if that's the direction they chose to go, because that pretty much seems to be the way most people think that movie's going to go. And it makes sense. It is a world it's going to be a world that is probably struggling to make sense of what happened. Half the population, just like that, is gone. There is certainly going to be a degree of chaos. Probably the surviving members of the Avengers will have a lot to do with, limiting the chaos in the world. And then time travel becomes the last resort. I mean, if it's not time travel, and I'll be honest with you, I hope it's not time travel. I've seen way too many movies and TV shows use time travel as their scapegoat card. So I'd rather see them do something other than time travel, but it does look like that's what they're doing. And it does make sense, so I get it, whatever. But yeah, everything you just say is like, can I imagine it? Well, sure I can imagine, because everybody's already kind of predicting that. So whether that works out that way, we'll have to wait and see. I hope they go in a different direction, but it does look like that's the way they're going. All right. Curtis follows up with, rewatch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Opening is brilliant, showing Peter's complicated life as a superhero / working college kid. Hey, look, man, everything about about not Amazing Spider-Man, everything about Spider-Man 2 is amazing. Everything about that movie is brilliant. There was a good chunk of time when predominantly Spider-Man 2 was considered the greatest comic book movie ever made. I still believe it is I did a top 10 best comic book movies ever made list a while ago, and I unapologetically put Spider-Man 2 on that list. Spider-Man 2 is a remarkable comic book movie. Absolutely remarkable. Easily, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man movie ever. Yes, better than The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Yes, better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1. Yes, better than Homecoming. I think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. I still believe it to this day. I have it in my top 10. Great villain, great character development, all that kind of stuff. It was the pinnacle of the Spider-Man films that Sony did, and better than the one Marvel did. It's a hallmark, honestly. I love that film. So yeah, I'm with you, Curtis. I mean, it's not just the opening 10 millions that are brilliant. The whole damn thing is brilliant. It really is. All right. Luke1234 writes, last few shows I've seen you're back home. No more new studio. Well, look, I've explained this a number of times, but I'll explain it again. No, we are definitely in the new studio. If you just saw the last episode of Heroes, we are still in the new studio. But what has happened was we were struggling with a couple of technical issues, most notably the audio. I mean, you could hear me and everything, but we had several issues with the audio in the new studio. And I'll be frank with you, I've had some staff turnover since I started there. I've already replaced somebody there. And we have been trying to take a few days now to work on and get the audio to where it needs to be. Look, you guys invest your time in supporting my show and watching my show. I owe it to you guys to give you the best show that I can. And when the audio is subpar and makes it difficult or challenging to listen to, that's not good enough. You guys deserve better. So, for about a week or so, I started doing the John Campea show from home while we continue to work out the audio issues. I will tell you this. The plan is we believe we solved the audio issues on Friday afternoon. Fact checker Jonathan and myself, we believe we solved the audio issues on Friday. So the plan is for us to do tomorrow morning's John Campea show back in the new studio. And hopefully everything will go well and according to plan. But not everything goes according to plan. As the great Mike Tyson always used to say, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Well, we had a plan. We were launching the show in the new studio and then got punched in the mouth. Then I got punched in the mouth with audio problems and technical problems or whatever. But, we rolled with it, moved my show back here while we worked on those issues there. So the plan is we will be back in there tomorrow. So fingers crossed. Here's hoping we're back in there tomorrow. All right. Stephen Foley writes, "Hey, John, thanks for recommending Slugfest inside the epic 50-year battle between Marvel and DC. About 3/4 of the way through the audio CD version. Fascinating insight." Guy, you know what, Stephen? And I got recommended that book by one of the viewers. One of the viewers actually sent in a super chat, I believe, a month or two ago, saying, "John, have you ever read this Slugfest inside the 50-year battle of Marvel and DC?" And I'm like, no, but that sounds fascinating. I instantly went and got the audiobook and listened to it. It's fascinating, man. I mean, I know a lot about the history of DC and Marvel, but there was a ton of stuff in there that I didn't know about. It's really a wonderful read/listen, depending on how you choose to consume the book. I thought it was fascinating. I wish they told the story of it in more of a linear mode. A lot of the book jumps back and forth between decades. And it's still fantastic. I kind of found myself wishing they would tell it a little bit more linearly. Let's talk about 1961. Then let's talk about 1962. Then let's talk about 1963. Instead of this happened in 1969. And then the next thing, well, now this was happening in 1959. And this was happening in 1962. And then back to So that made it a little tricky to follow sometimes. But overall, it's informative. It's eye-opening. It gives you a great perspective on the current status of things. It's great. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, follow Steven's lead and check out this book. I had a magnificent time with it. I think you will too. All right. I'm Upset writes, let's see. Thoughts on G.I. Joe films, chances for a third or a reboot. Let's put it this way. I didn't think the first G.I. Joe was all that bad. The one with Channing Tatum. I really didn't think it was all that bad. Did I think it was great? No. Did I think they had some massive missed opportunities? Yes. But it really wasn't all that bad. It had some upside to it and some entertainment value to it. G.I. Joe 2 did one of the big cardinal sins to me in movie making, particularly with sequels. Don't kill off the hero of the first movie in the opening of your second. That's what Transformers did. Not with their first movie and second, but that 1984, or was it 86, Transformers animated movie? First 10 minutes, kill everybody. Kill all the Autobots. Kill them all. Screw you, kids. Oh, we're really glad you bought all our toys, but F you. Now you have to buy all new toys. Might as well throw the old ones away because we're killing all your favorites. Ha ha. Anyway, I've always hated Hasbro for that. But I love Hasbro now because they contribute half of my household income now because Ann works there. So, yay Hasbro. But I've always hated you for that. Anyway. Then Iron Eagle 2. Remember that? Louis Gossett Jr.? They took the hero of the first film, the kid. First 5 minutes of Iron Eagle 2. Killed off the kid. What? Or even the Ewoks television movie, the entire first Ewoks television movie, I think Battle for Endor is what it was called. Anyway, the whole movie is about them saving this girl's family. Great. First 5 minutes of the second one, killed all the girl's family. What? What? And then they did it with G.I. Joe. Right? They had Channing Tatum's character. Woo, hero of the movie, lead character movie. First 5 minutes of the second G.I. Joe. Oh, screw him. We've got The Rock now. Kill him off. I don't like it when films do that. That's dumb. It makes you feel like you wasted your time watching the first movie. Anyway, but I did not hate the second one, but it didn't come anywhere near living up to its potential. Possible for a third? I think the chances of a reboot are far more likely than a third. The Rock is making 75 movies a year, and I don't think any new G.I. Joe is on his docket. At this point, I would guess that a third film is, or that a reboot is much more likely than a third film. And when that reboot would happen is anybody's guess, but I think that's your better bet. Stubble McShave writes, in part because of you, I started to write a book. Oh, that's awesome. And I've been thinking on for some time. I'm a third of the way through, and right now I'm about 100,000 words in, 250, 300 pages. So the first act is done. Wish me luck. Well, good luck, Stubble. I think everybody should write a book at some point. Even if nobody ever reads it, even if you do nothing with it. I think writing a book is a great exercise for your creativity. Even if you never do anything with it, write a book. Even if it's 80 pages, write a book. Got an idea for a story? It's just a good, fun, personal exercise for your own creativity. It is one of the most frustrating but rewarding things I ever did was writing out a book. And I think more people should do it. I think you should try it. So good on you, Stubble, for doing it. Javier Riaz, 405 writes, crazy. Venom could possibly hit 8. No, it's now open in all the markets now. So no, no. Now, granted, I'm the guy who said it wouldn't catch Justice League. So what do I know? But I think 800 million is getting a little silly. I don't think that's because there aren't any more markets for it to open in. Now that it's open in China, it's pretty much done. But it doesn't change the fact of what it's actually accomplished here. Crazy Venom could possibly hit 800 million if it has good legs. Well, I mean, it's already its legs are done, right? The legs are done. It's open in every market. It's already dropped out of the top 5 in the North American market. It's now down to about, I think, 8th place or something like that. So no, I don't see that happening. If it does, it'll make more than Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Yeah, that seems like because remember, the reason some people, not me, but the reason some people believed it could still catch Justice League, and I didn't, to be honest, and I was wrong. But the reason a lot of people did think it had a chance to catch Justice League was because it still hadn't opened in the second biggest movie market in the world, which was China. I just didn't think it would do that well in China, but the fact of the matter is it's now open there. There's nowhere else big for it to open. So I think 800 million is a little bit outside, but 700 million is now realistic, which is, I mean, if you had told anybody 3 months ago that Venom, I include anybody at Sony, if you told anybody at Sony 3 months ago, hey, your Venom movie could possibly hit 700 million, they'd say, shut up. Don't yank my chain. Our movie's not going to hit 700 million. Stop teasing me. And they would have been thrilled. Remember how everybody told you Venom movie couldn't work without Spider-Man? Yeah, well, it did. And 700 is totally realistic. So, I mean, hey, look, I'm not going to say it's impossible because I didn't think it would catch Justice League. And now it has. But 800 is a huge stretch because, again, there's nowhere else left for it to open significant. So that becomes a big problem. Static Space Sean writes, I saw The Grinch. I hated everything about the trailers, but the movie had some charm to it. I wish they had done a new take on the story, though. I'm with you, but I'll disagree with your last part there. See, I was like you. You guys remember, I was not impressed with the Grinch trailers. I didn't think Benedict Cumberbatch, while I love him, I didn't think he was a good, fit for the voice of the Grinch. The humor in the trailers didn't really do it for me. I did not have a lot of anticipation or hope for that movie. But that's why you leave your expectations at the door when you go see a movie. So Cody Miller and I ran out to see Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And then we drove all the way across town in LA to go to a late show of The Grinch to catch The Grinch. And we both came out going, that wasn't bad. That was pretty good. And it is. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I'm not saying it's great, and it certainly has its problems. But yeah, it was pretty charming. It absolutely had its charm. Not a bad film. Not a great film, but not a bad film. I don't know that I would have wanted them doing a new take on the story. The Grinch is the Grinch. You know, it's like, a new take on the story would just make it a different story. That's not the Grinch. So they definitely added new elements to the story, like the whole single working mom struggles. At first I thought, well, this is stupid, but then it grew on me and it kind of fit with the movie. So then I was okay with it. So they definitely introduced new concepts and new elements to the story, but I don't think I would have wanted them to change what the story of the Grinch is about, because then it's not the Grinch. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's just my thoughts. But yeah, I'm with you, Static. I did not have any anticipation for it. And then I watched it, I'm like, yeah, not bad. I'm glad I saw it. Let's see. Ant Banks, 1984 writes, have you bumped into LeBron yet since your new gig? I don't even think I'm allowed to say. Well, screw it. I haven't signed anything. Yes. Have I talked to LeBron? No, I have not. LeBron James, aside from Sidney Crosby, is my favorite athlete in the world right now. But, well, no, that would also be behind Tom Brady. So aside from Sidney Crosby, and aside from Tom Brady, LeBron James is probably my favorite athlete in the world right now. But I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I've not had a chance to talk to him, no. And I don't think I probably ever will. Rome Arma 30 writes, which movie do you believe will generate the most excitement and dollars in 2019? Avengers 4 or Star Wars 9? Well, I think right now, I mean, look, the biggest movie out of any of them is still a Star Wars movie, right? Star Wars, The Force Awakens has made more money than any Marvel movie, anything like that. But right now, in this moment, the MCU films have more momentum right now. In this moment. I expect Avengers 4 will both generate more excitement. And it's hard to say. We haven't seen any Avengers 4 trailers. We haven't seen any Star Wars Episode 9 trailers. So that will have a lot to do with it for sure. But right now, in the dark, I'm going to guess right now that Avengers 4 will both generate more excitement for now, and will make more at the box office. Again, that's a total spit in the dark and in the wind, because we haven't even seen trailers for either of them. But I think right now the momentum is in the MCU. Either way, it's both Disney. Either way, Disney wins. Cha-ching! So they don't care. Either way, Disney wins. But I think right now it's that. But I don't think Avengers 4... I don't think Star Wars Episode 9 will make as much as The Force Awakens. I don't think Avengers 4 will make as much as The Force Awakens. I don't even think Avengers 4 is going to make as much as Avengers 3, Infinity War. I don't think it's going to make as much. But they're both going to be billion-dollar films. I think Avengers 4 has the potential to be a $2 billion film. I don't think Star Wars 9 does at this point. So anyway, I could be totally off on all that, but that's what my guess is right now. Romarm30 writes, can J.J. Abrams deliver with Star Wars 9 and unite the fan base? Oh, absolutely. Look, what is, other than Bring on the Filthy, what is the thing I say the most? Winning cures everything. Winning cures everything. I say that about the DC universe. I say that about Star Wars. I say that about the MCU. I'll say it about anything. Winning cures everything. J.J. Abrams directed a Star Wars film that has made more money than any MCU movie in history and any other movie in history other than two, Avatar and Titanic. Other than Avatar and Titanic, J.J. Abrams' Star Wars film has made more money than any other movie in cinematic history, including a domestic record that ain't ever going to be touched. Right? Let me just bring that up. Domestically, let me just check this out here. I want to just get these numbers here. Domestically speaking, where do you know what it is worldwide? All-time domestic. Okay, get this. Avatar is the second biggest box office film in history at the domestic box office at $760 million. Star Wars The Force Awakens, $936 million. Like, it didn't just beat Avatar, it blew it away. Black Panther made $700 million in third place at the domestic box office. Star Wars beat that by $236 million. That's more than most movies make in their entire international run. Avengers Infinity War made $678 million at the domestic box office. That's about $250 million less than Star Wars The Force Awakens did. I say all that, just to put that in context. Can J.J. Abrams do this? Well, Star Wars The Force Awakens was pretty much a really beloved film. Killed it at the box office, both worldwide and domestically. It's done better than any MCU film in history. So can that happen? Absolutely it can. Will it? That's the question. Can and will are two totally separate questions. Can it? Absolutely. Last time JJ directed with Star Wars film, this result, and this result. So can it? Damn right he can. Will he? Different question. We'll have to see. Look, I like J.J. Abrams as a filmmaker very much, but he's not perfect. He's made some films that I don't like. Super 8 is a good example. I know a bunch of you guys like Super 8. I was not a fan of Super 8. I do really like his Star Trek films. But, yeah, will he? 50-50. Can he? 100% he can. 100% he can. 50-50 on whether he will or not. We're just going to have to wait and see. Okay. Let's see. Javier Reyes, 405 writes, I actually like Spider-Man 3. It's kind of like Venom for me. A lot of it was good, but also had some bad. And I didn't hate the Dancing Peter, just that jazz scene near the end. Hey, listen, that is the beautiful thing, Javier, about the subjectivity of films. You know, you can think of the movie you hate the most in life. There are people out there who find things in even the movie you hate the most. There are other people out there who find things that really appeal to them or that clicked for them or that spoke to them and that didn't speak to you. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's what I love about it. There are some people who cannot handle the fact that movies are subjective. And we see that all online all the time. There are people who just cannot handle that others like a movie I don't like, or others don't like a movie I like, and their brains explode and they become gibbering idiots and they just don't know how to handle it. To me, the subjectivity of film is not something to handle. It's the best part of being a movie fan. The fact that I can detest Spider-Man 3, but there are things in it that speak to you and that you appreciate and you like and speak to you and your experience. That's amazing. That's beautiful to me. That to me is the best part about being a movie fan. You know, because we can all talk about, that movie sucks and that movie's great, but we all understand here that when I say that movie sucks, what I'm really saying is that sucked for me. I considered it terrible. I thought it didn't work. It did not click for me, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't like it, right? And just because I and a lot of other people don't like Spider-Man 3, the beautiful thing about the subjectivity of film is that you watched it and there was redeeming good things in it for you that spoke to you because of who you are and your point of reference and your life experience. And that's not something to be afraid of. That's not something to cringe at. That's not something to get angry over. That's not something to reject. That is the most beautiful thing about being a film fan. It is the most beautiful thing about film, period, is the pure subjectivity of it. And the moment I ever hear anybody saying, film's not subjective, then I just tune them out. Because, like, you know what? You don't get the most simple, basic premise of what film is as an art. And therefore, you don't get the basic underlying thing about what art is at all. So there's no point in me even listening to anything you have to say if you don't get that underlying principle that film is subjective. Art is subjective. No, John, there are some movies, I get these all the time, there are some movies that are objectively bad. Really, by what measurement? Pull out the ruler. Tell me the measurement that proves, because unless something can be quantifiably measured and proved, then it's not objective. How tall is that tree? Objective truth. You can take a measuring stick and measure it quantifiably. How fast did he run that 100-meter dash? Quantifiable. You can take a watch, a stopwatch, and measure the amount of time it took him to run from here to here. And we know that the shorter the time, the better. Therefore, that's objective truth. The moment anything becomes about an opinion, it's art and it's subjective. Comedian tells a joke, you either laugh or you don't. But it's not objectively funny or objectively unfunny. It just either worked for you or it didn't. There is no scientific measurement to measure, quantifiably measure, whether that was a truth or not. And if it's not, then guess what? It's not objective. All art is subjective. And that's why it's awesome, man, that you like a movie that I don't. I think that's great. I think that's to be celebrated amongst film fans. And you can always tell the people who don't get that. They're the ones who will attack other people for not liking a movie they like or for liking a movie they don't like. Those are the people you can instantly tell, oh, I get it. You just don't understand the most basic thing about film, which is the subjectivity of it all. You go and enjoy yourself. I'm just going to ignore you. So anyway, that's the thing to me. So that's awesome that you like Spider-Man 3. It doesn't change my opinion that I hated it. But the fact that I hate it shouldn't change the fact that you like it. And that's the most beautiful thing. All right. Stubble McShave writes, I just rewatched Amadeus. Oh, on Blu-ray. It's so good. I love Amadeus. You know, it won Best Picture. It won several Oscars, as a matter of fact, including Best Picture. But it is kind of funny to me that it's a movie that often gets forgot. Amadeus is a movie that often gets forgotten. Not a lot of people talk about it. I think it's absolutely brilliant, Stubble, and I'm glad you had a chance to watch it. So thank you for bringing it up. All right. Grand Master writes, I'm stunned at Venom's results. That it passed Justice League and even could pass Homecoming is crazy. Sony should be the happiest right now. Oh, absolutely. Again, I don't want to go into it in detail because we're going to talk about it on the John Campea show tomorrow. But yes, you know, I did not expect it to cross Justice League. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think it would make that much in China. And yet it did. And now 700 million is a solid possibility. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Chris Warden writes, was scrolling through the Schwarzenegger section on Netflix last night, and my girlfriend mentioned she had never seen both Twins and Kindergarten Cop. We then immediately did a double feature, such classics. Those are good. I'm more of a Twins guy than Kindergarten Cop. I will admit I am much more of a Twins guy than I am of Kindergarten Cop. Don't get me wrong, Kindergarten Cop certainly has some gold moments. It's not a tumor. I mean, there's some fabulous, great moments in Kindergarten Cop. But to me, Twins trumps it easy. To me, it's not a question. Twins is better than Kindergarten Cop. I don't know that I myself would call Kindergarten Cop a classic, but there are a lot of people that really do. But there are certainly movies you should watch, and I'm glad that you and your girlfriend had a chance to watch it. And good on you, Chris, for having a girlfriend. They go, yeah, let's watch Twins and Kindergarten Cop. That's a keeper right there. All right. Murray Reich writes, so a spin-off Marvel villain, which many believe wouldn't work without Spider-Man, makes more than Justice League. Ouch. Yeah, and look, there is so much there to unpack. So much there to unpack and break down. And really, here's the thing, and I'll go more into this in detail tomorrow on the John Campea show, but let's not get so caught up on the Justice League angle of it. And let's focus a little bit more, because this isn't a story to me about the failure of Justice League. And too many people are going to try to make this a story about the failure of Justice League. No, this is a story about the success of Venom. That's where our focus should be, about the success of Venom. And yes, comparing it to a Justice League, which should have been a $1 billion film, could have been a $2 billion film, the fact that becomes valuable for comparison's sake, but we shouldn't lose focus that this isn't a story about the lack of success of Justice League as it is about the unbelievable, surprising success of Venom. So I hope that's where we keep our focus. And again, we'll talk about more of that in detail tomorrow. Murray Reich writes, my team got clobbered by your Leafs last weekend. You know what? Listen, Leafs are doing good. Leafs are my all-time favorite sports organization. Obviously, I bleed blue and white. but they have sucked almost my entire life. There are a few years with Wendell Clark and Matt Sundin, and there's a few Steve Thomas and all that. There were a few years where they were pretty good, but for the most part, my entire lifetime, this team has sucked. And for the first time, and I can't remember when, I'm feeling optimism about my Leafs, man. I'm feeling optimism about my Leafs. So I don't think we're like Stanley Cup bound this year, but oh my God. I don't think it's completely unrealistic to say in the next 2 years, I believe there's a good solid 20 to 25% chance my Leafs could be in the Stanley Cup final. Wrap your head around this. Never in my lifetime have the Toronto Maple Leafs not won the Stanley Cup, even been in the Stanley Cup finals. Never in my lifetime. It could be coming. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Sebastian writes, glad you like Grinch. Others will be backpedaling. I don't know. Look, to be fair to everybody, Grinch looked bad. It did look bad. I was not particularly excited about it. But that's why we go to the movie, check our expectations at the door, and then go see it. I thought it looked bad, and it did look bad. That doesn't change. The fact that I thought the movie was pretty good does not change the fact that it looked bad. It did look bad. So I and others have said it looked bad. It's not backpedaling to say, oh, then I saw the movie, because those are two different things. Whether a movie looks good or not is different from whether a movie is good or not. Right? So I don't think anybody has any backpedaling to do. Backpedaling is when you say one thing and then later you back off saying that thing. So if somebody says The Grinch is a bad movie, like say this weekend they say The Grinch is a bad movie, and then in a few weeks they say, well, actually The Grinch is pretty good. That's backpedaling. To say that The Grinch doesn't look any good, and then to say, I saw the movie now, and I believe it is pretty good. That's not backpedaling, because that's kind of giving commentary on two different subjects. How a film looks, and then how a film actually is. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people backpedaling, but yeah, man, I did like The Grinch. I didn't love it. I still prefer, say, Jim Carrey's. I still prefer the original animated. But it was definitely better than I thought it would be, and it certainly had some charm in it, some smiles, some grins, and a general good time. Yeah, it's a movie worth seeing. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Murray Reich writes, Fantastic Beasts 2 is being played early on Tuesday at the AMC IMAX fantastic fandom event, but you can't use AList for it. Is this wrong? Oh, no, that's not wrong at all. It's a special event. A-list shouldn't count towards special events. A-list is about, hey, you can buy your movie tickets for certain movies. If there's special events that fall outside of the regular screening of a movie, I don't think AMC A-list should count for that. I've experienced that as well. There was an early girls' night out screening of a particular movie, and it was an early screening. I can't remember what the movie was now. Ann and I went to go see it, but it was advertised as a girls' night out movie. Fortunately, men were allowed to go. And I'm trying to remember what movie it was. I can't remember what movie it was now, but anyway, it was a special screening that fell outside of the regular release of the film, and so A-List didn't cover that. I had no problem with that, not at all. It's a special event. It's not a part of the regular release of the film, so I don't think there should be any expectation that A-List should cover that. Look, I already expressed, in October, I saw $134 worth of movies in October on my A-list that I paid $20 for. And that wasn't even using it for, because you can see up to 12 movies in a month. I saw 7. I used my A-list to see 7 movies in the month of October. I paid $20, and when I added up what the tickets would have cost had I bought them, it was $134 in tickets that I got for $20. I would have to be kind of a little bitch, which I am sometimes, granted, but I would have to be something of a little bitch to then whine and complain that you don't let me get to see movies that are even outside of the regular release schedule. Give me that too, but we're already giving you so much. I don't care. Give me more. Like that, I would have to be that. So I know I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, what I would see something wrong with is if See, Fantastic Beasts had its regular opening on Thursday night, like most movies do. They open, the official release date is Friday, but we all know that means it opens on Thursday. And if it had its opening night Thursday, and then AMC AList said, well, we're not going to let you use AList to see opening night, that would be wrong. That would be wrong. Because it is a part of the regular release of the movie. The special Tuesday fan event, that's a different thing. So no, I take no issue with that. No issue with that. That's totally fair play. Totally fair play in my opinion. So anyway, that's just what I think. But hey man, you know us. We as people are basically whiny little babies. That's what we are. And we'll go, no, give us more. But I've already given you so much. No, more. Give me more. I mean, that's what we do. I do it, you do it, we all do it. As film fans, we are particularly bad about that. But I got to say it's totally fair play on AMC's part for that. Let's see. In Poor Taste Humor writes, do you consider the South Park movie a musical? I don't, but I wouldn't argue. I don't consider it a musical, but I would not argue with anybody who did. You know? If somebody wanted to make the point to me that they really believe it should be considered a musical, I won't argue with them. Well, there's enough there that I could see why you'd think that. I don't believe that. I don't feel that way. But there's certainly enough stuff there that makes it not unreasonable for you to feel the way you feel. So I wouldn't argue with anybody about it, but me, myself, I don't consider it a musical. Sebastian writes, any Defy Media thoughts? Venom China debuts $111 million. As far as Defy Media goes, no thoughts. Other than this, I would certainly have more thoughts if Defy Media hadn't sold off, say, Screen Junkies a few months ago. Like, if Screen Junkies had still been under Defy Media when Defy Media shut down, I would have some more thoughts about it because that's more in my realm. You know what I mean? The other stuff, not so much. But I know a lot of people at Smosh and Clever and I think all these brands that fell under Defy Media got hurt. Chris Stuckman has been doing some tweeting lately about how he kind of got screwed over by Defy, and that sucks. But for the most part, I mean, I really never had a lot to do with Defy. I almost had a lot more to do with Defy after a particular offer I got. But I'm just very glad at this point to say I've never been all that involved with Defy Media, though at one point I almost did. But but I will say this. It highlights a hidden truth. The shuttering of Defy Media highlights a hidden truth that is just at the beginning of collapsing a misconception about the online world. And that is this, and I've been realizing this more and more over the past couple of years. There is an image with the online world, like Defy Media and others. Defy Media and others. We've seen some other prominent big YouTube bodies crumble over the past couple of years. There is this perception that YouTube is where all the money is. And these big YouTube properties, they're making tons of money. And it's this veneer of success. The reality is it is a failed economic construct. The YouTube space is a failed economic construct that has the veneer and appearance of great success when underneath the veneer, things have been dying and corroding away for a long time. We've seen more and more over the past 10 years, there was this idea that, because of the success of online streaming and everything, things are going to move away from the studio model of entertainment and go more towards, for the lack of a better term, this YouTube model of entertainment. And it looks like everything works, but really it's not. And it's starting to fall apart. And it's starting to crumble. And I'm going to tell you this right now. The Defy shuttering is not the last name to go. There are going to be others. There are going to be smart people like a Chris Stuckman, like a Jeremy Johns, like myself to some degree, who understand the nature of the economic model we live in, and we conduct ourselves accordingly. Therefore, we have found a way to survive and thrive within this economic construct of the online streaming, aka YouTube world. There are many, many bodies and individuals and groups and companies that have not conducted themselves appropriately, or accordingly, I should say, to the realities of the economic construct that we live within, and you're seeing a lot of that veneer falling apart. Look, there were problems at Defy Media, but don't fool yourself into thinking that, oh, the only reason Defy Media folks is they must have all been incompetent because there's tons of money and tons of... Did they do some incompetent things? Yes. Were there problems there? Absolutely. Were there some extenuating circumstances? Yes, there were. But underneath all of that is an inconvenient truth for a lot of the online world, which is this economic construct we believed we had been living in for a number of years was really all a facade. And things are going to transition back, not to the big entertainment companies, but at least back to the model that the big entertainment companies used to abide by. And that is going to be an inconvenient truth. That is going to be an inconvenient truth. And believe you me, the Defy Media thing is not the last one. It's not the last one we're going to have to deal with. I'm going to tell you that right now. Anyway, Patrick Conway writes, the perfect title for... where did I go? The perfect title for Avengers 4 should be Avengers F All Idiots, because whatever the title is, people will complain. Well, I mean, there's two truths there, Patrick. Number one, no matter what the title is, people are going to go see it regardless, and people are going to complain regardless. There are a bunch of people who believe the name of the film will be Avengers Annihilation, and it totally might be. I don't think it will be, but it totally might be. And a lot of people will complain if it is, but they're all going to still go see it. There are some people who believe it could be called Avengers Assemble, which it could be, but it might not. If it is, a bunch of people are going to complain, but they're all going to go see it regardless. You could name it Avengers 4 F All Idiots, and there will be a number of people complain, and yet they will go regardless. They are the two indisputable truths about the titling of Avengers 4. People are going to complain, regardless of what the title is, and those who complain are still going to go see it. So, yeah, that's kind of the world we live in right now, Patrick. Julius Goodwin writes, still waiting for date of Kiss Kiss Gang Bang. Working on it right now. Working hard on Kiss Kiss Gang Bang. Flieswater0182 just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Flieswater. Patrick Conway writes, over under 45%. Hawkeye is not in the Avengers 4 trailer just to troll us. I think it is over 45% that he's not in the Avengers 2 trailer, but I don't necessarily think, especially the first trailer, that you need to just cram every character who's going to be in the movie in that 120-second trailer. There's not a need, especially in the first trailer. I don't think they're going to cram 40-plus characters into a 2-minute trailer. But I don't think it'll be to just troll the audience. I mean, look, a lot of us had a lot of fun when Avengers 3 is coming out. We're all going, where's Hawkeye? That was fun. But, I mean, let's be honest here. Hawkeye is not one of the most important nor one of the most popular of the Avengers characters. And there's really no... And I like Hawkeye, and I like the way he's portrayed in the films. And I want to see Hawkeye in Avengers 4, but it's not like we need to see Hawkeye any more than we need to see Mantis in the first trailer. We don't need to see Mantis in the first trailer. We don't need to see anybody else who might still be there or might be coming back from the dusting. We don't need to. We could see some, we may not. So I'll believe there's an over 45% chance that he's not in the trailer, but I don't think it's going to be because they're trying to troll us or anything like that. He'll be in, if he's in the movie, he will be in probably the second trailer at the very minimum, and maybe be in the first. But if he's not, it's not because they're trying to troll us. Dennis Riaz writes, Black Dynamite is now on Netflix. Enjoy, everyone. Look, you guys don't need me to go into how much I love Black Dynamite again. I've sang that song for you guys a million times. I love me some Black Dynamite. Michael Jai White, my friend, my compadre, where is Black Dynamite 2? I could revisit that character forever. Somebody tweet to Michael Jai White. Let him know. I'm calling for it. I want to see him back, man. I want to see him back. I think Black Dynamite is such an underrated treasure of a movie. I just have such unbridled fun watching that movie. Such unbridled fun watching that movie. And there's so many little details hidden all over the place in almost every frame of the movie that it doesn't matter how many times you watch it, you're going to find something new to really relish in and enjoy. So yeah, if it's up on Netflix right now, guys, no more excuses. Take some time and watch Black Dynamite. Dynamite. Go watch Black Dynamite, man. It's so freaking good. Flyers Waters sends in another one. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Robbie De Herrera writes, hey, John, where can I buy/stream the anniversary? You cannot buy or stream it anywhere right now. I don't have it online for that. I've not put it up anywhere for that. I had it online when I first released the film, made my money back, all that kind of stuff. I'm good for people, but now that you asked, I am going to be making the anniversary available to my Patreon supporters. Now, let me be honest. All right? Oh, and for those of you who don't even know, The Anniversary is my movie that I made a number of years ago. I am incredibly proud of The Anniversary. I'm incredibly proud of it. And I'm proud of all my friends who helped me make that movie and all that kind of stuff. And as, you know, everybody says, I want to make a movie someday. You know what? Damn it, I did it. I put my money where my mouth is. I invested in it. I made my own movie. I went and did it. And I'm super proud of it. And if my buddy had made the exact same movie, I would have been really impressed. But, and here's the but. If my movie had been put out by Paramount Pictures or made by a real Hollywood director or whatever, I would say that is not up to standard, my friends. And that's me being kind. That is not up to standard. So let's be honest here. My movie, The Anniversary, I think is a great little comedy movie for a movie that was made by somebody you know. It is not a great little movie by Hollywood standards. That's just me being honest. I'm not trying to be fake humble. I'm not trying to just downplay. No, I'm just being honest. It's not great by Hollywood standards, right? To the point that today I wouldn't want to make anybody pay to watch it. So I'm putting it up on Patreon because as a little way for me to thank the people who are Patreon supporters. But I'll be honest with you. I'm being straight up honest with you. I would not recommend becoming a Patreon supporter of mine just so you could watch my movie, The Anniversary. I'm just being honest. I don't think it's worth it. I don't. And it's my movie. Nobody's more biased for my movie than me. But I'm going to put it up for my Patreon supporters, just as a little thank you to my Patrons. But to be honest with you, and I'd love for all of you to become Patreon supporters, don't get me wrong, but I would be honest with you and say that my movie, The Anniversary, is not worth, if that was the only reason you're becoming a Patreon supporter, it's not worth it. Not worth it. Save your money. Please become a Patreon supporter, but not for that. It's not worth it. Just being honest. Anyway, but thank you for asking, man. It warms my heart that you would even ask about that. Eddie Burton writes, if a studio signs an actor to a movie, but that movie doesn't get made, does the studio still need to pay that actor the salary negotiated? Generally speaking, no. But there is something called a pay-for-play contract or a pay-or-play contract. It's the interchangeable phrases, pay-for-play, pay-or-play, interchangeable. Actually, it was even in the Animaniacs theme song. We're the Animaniacs. We have pay-for-play contracts. What does that mean? What is this pay-for-play contract? A pay-for-play contract or a pay-or-play contract, either or, is, I'm oversimplifying it, but it basically means once you sign up for this movie, whatever your negotiated payment is, you're going to get it whether we make this movie or not. And you're going to get it whether you're in this movie or not, as long as you don't fail to be in the movie and it's your fault. Like, if I signed a pay-for-play contract for $10 million to be in a movie, then I just said, no, I don't want to be in the movie. Well, then they don't have to pay me the $10 million. But if I signed a pay-for-play contract to be in a movie called Ass Pimple 4, The Revenge, all right, I sign up to be the star of Ass Pimple 4, The Revenge. And my negotiated contract is $10 million. And we sign the deal. And it's a pay-for-play contract. That now means they got to pay me that $10 million no matter what, as long as I don't back out. So if they just decide suddenly, you know what, we're not going to make the movie anymore, that's cool. You still got to pay me, though. Infamously, if you want to look at the Superman movie that Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage are going to make, the one John Schnepp was the focus of John Schnepp's The Death of Superman Lives What Happened documentary. One of the most infamous things about that movie was that both Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage had pay-for-play contracts on that. And they both got paid, even though that movie never got made. But generally speaking, that's not the case. Generally speaking, that's not how it works. If you didn't do the work, then you don't get paid for it. Now, again, that is a way massive oversimplification that I'm giving you on that. It's way over much of an oversimplification, but that's the general gist of it. All right. Fly Swatter 0182 writes, if the Kingsman movies don't happen before the Fox merger, do you think the rights will revert back to Miller World / Netflix and we would see them there? I really don't know, because I don't know the issue of the contracts. And even if there is a limitation or a ticking clock on how often they have to be in production of a new movie, and we don't know that there is such a clause. We don't even know that there is such a clause. But if there is that clause in there, it doesn't necessarily lapse just because Disney now owns Fox. If they have 3 more years to make another movie, then it doesn't matter whether Disney owns Fox or not. It doesn't matter. Then they still have 3 years. So it really all depends on the nature of the contract, and the contract is one I simply do not know. I just don't know whether this is a ticking clock contract or whether it's a in perpetuity contract. And then if it is a ticking clock contract, and the clock doesn't expire just because Disney now owns Fox, they still have however much time they're supposed to have to make a new one, whether that's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We just don't know. So it would be kind of frivolous to kind of even guess or speculate at this point. It's possible, but I just don't know the nature of the contract at this point. All right. Matt Thornton writes, your thoughts on the Chuck Jones Grinch film and the Jim Carrey Grinch film? Love them both. I think they're both great. I know not everybody loves the Jim Carrey one. I really do. I love the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. I do. I don't know that I love it more than the original animated one. That's a tall order. But I thought the Jim Carrey one was fantastic. It makes me smile. It makes my heart happy when I watch it. I think it's great. I think it's terrific. Again, I'm not necessarily saying it's better than that original animated one, but I do think both of these films, both the original animated and the Jim Carrey one, are both better than the new one. But the new one's still worth watching. It brings some different things to the table than the other 2 films did. Daryl Best Wadley writes, which is better, 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street? I don't know. I've said this before, and I may still stick with this. I'm not sure. What I used to say was, I think 22 Jump Street has some bigger laugh moments than 21 Jump Street does. But I thought overall, as a whole, 21 Jump Street was still the better movie. Even though there are some moments in 22 Jump Street that are bigger laugh moments than anything in 21 Jump Street, I still thought overall 21 Jump Street was more consistent. In particular, that one of my top 10 funniest scenes in any movie ever, in 22 Jump Street, when Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum are sitting in Ice Cube's office and he's realizing that Jonah Hill was sleeping with Ice Cube's daughter. And you hear that little ding go off when he realizes it. Ding! What? And that is one of the most gut-bustingly funny scenes I've ever seen in a movie. For now, I'll still stick with that. That while there are moments in 22 Jump Street that are better and funnier than anything in 21 Jump Street, I'll still stick with overall 21 Jump Street's a better film. But I love them both. I do love them both. Superman Steve writes, do you personally know many actors or many known actors? I know a few. Some of which I've talked about, some of which I have not, but I know a few. Victor Watson writes, "Hey, John, just love your show. Thank you so much. After 8 to 9 hours a day and Saturday too, it's hard pumping iron afterwards, but I listen to your show every time I work out, which is 4 days a week." Well, thanks so much, man. Some people like to listen to the show when they're driving to work or commuting. Some people like to watch a show at work. Some people like to watch or listen while they're in the gym. Lots of different things. I'm just honored that you make me a part of your day. Thank you so much, man. That's really an honor. I wish I had time to go to the gym after work. I just don't have the time to go to the gym after work. That's why when Ann and I go to the gym, we generally get up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, go to the gym, because we have to do it before the day starts. And that's when we usually go. But I miss the days when I used to be able to go exercise after work. It's far better to do it that way, but I just don't have the time. Wayne Clark writes, "Just finished Sons of Anarchy. Right into this world all alone." And I loved it, man. Opie, Nero, and Chibs were my favorites. Who were some of yours? I've said many times Opie. I mean, other than Jax, who is the main character of the show, obviously. But Opie was my favorite character. I loved Opie for so many different reasons. He was a dude who was dealt such a bad hand over and over. Life just screwed this guy over so many times. And yet he kept himself. He stayed himself and he stayed true to himself. And I just love that character so much. Chibs is one of the most hilarious characters. Bobby was a great character. Gemma was an awesome and evil but wonderful character. I mean, the sheriff dude was awesome. Just a great, great show. My top 3 best television shows of all time, man. I still stick with that. All right. Victor, where'd we go? Oh, gosh, we had a big jump. Oh, God. Okay, we're never going to get through all of these. All right. Wow, we had a massive jump. Okay. Victor Watson writes, "I finally watched Overlord yesterday. Wow, it did not disappoint. My top 4 of 2018 is A Quiet Place, Overlord, Black Panther, Avenger, Infinity War." Me and my buddy Soul went to go see Overlord last night. I'm going to talk about it on the John Campea show tomorrow. Had a great time with it. Not in my top 4 or top 5 of the year, I'll be honest with you, but had a great time. Great time. Lots of fun in that movie. Just balls to the wall fun. That movie starts like a bullet out of a gun. Just boom, no filler, man. Just right from that movie starts, bang, you're into it, and it's all that right through to the end of the film. Had a great time with it, but again, I'll talk about it more in depth tomorrow. But yeah, man, I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad you had a good time with it. Quiet Place is still my number 1 film of the year. I don't think Black Panther or Overlord or Infinity War are in my top 5. Maybe one of them. But yeah, definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch, Overlord is. Mitchell Chandler writes, "Over under 35%. Marvel keeps Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool." Oh, I'll take the over on that. I don't think it's like 90%, but I will definitely take the over on 35% that Marvel will keep Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Absolutely, I'll take the over on that. Matt Guillemette writes, "The new Johnny English movie was stupid, but was cute. Me and my friend laughed our heads off, especially at the VR scene." I'll be honest with you. I've told the story before. I am somebody who likes Johnny English 1 and 2. But the marketing and the trailers for Johnny English 3 were so awful, it killed all my enthusiasm, and I just took a pass on it. I just passed on it. I didn't even bother seeing it. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't leave my expectations at the door, but it just meant I didn't even bother seeing it. If I went to go see it, I would leave my expectations at the door and then evaluate the movie on its own merits, but I didn't even want to see it. So I took a pass on it, but I'm hearing from a couple of people it's not all that bad. Like, I'm not hearing great things about it. I've heard some people say some pretty bad things about it, but I'm also hearing from a couple of you guys that it's not all that bad, and that makes me happy to hear, but I just got so many other things to watch that I just don't want to take 3.5 hours out of my night to go to a theater, watch the movie, come back when I could be. I'm not even caught up on half the shows I like to watch. There's a couple other movies I need to see. I just don't want to see John the English 3. That's just it for me, but I'm glad you did, man, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Let's see. Mitchell Chandler writes, "Watched The Grinch this weekend. While I enjoyed the take of Cindy Lou Who, I felt like I should have just been watching the Jim Carrey version." I mean, I don't know. I mean, just because I see a movie that's not as good as The Godfather doesn't mean, I should have just watched The Godfather instead. You know what I mean? This Grinch, I mean, I agree with you, Mitchell. This Grinch movie is not as good as the Jim Carrey Grinch. Sure, it's not. But I don't think that invalidates its existence. They are two different movies. So just because one isn't as good as the other doesn't mean there's not value in seeing the other. Like, just because there's a crime movie out there that's not as good as The Godfather, I'm not going to go, oh, it's not as good as The Godfather? Well, then I'm not even going to bother going and see that. I'll just watch The Godfather and say, no, I think there's value in and of itself. But I do agree that I did find the Jim Carrey version better. Of that, I completely agree. Let's see, The One. Venom just passed Justice League worldwide gross. Yep, we've talked about that several times already today. The One also writes, over under 15%, Marvel cancels Guardians 3. I'll take the under on that. If you had set the line at like 5%, I probably would have taken the over, but I think it's very unlikely, but not impossible, that they cancel Guardians 3. So I'll take the under on 15%, but like I said, had you set the line a little bit lower, like at 5%, I probably would have taken the over, but at 15%, I'll take the under. Trevor Johnson writes, I had no idea that The Grinch was co-directed by Scott Moiser. Yeah, the guy who works with Kevin Smith. The guy who has been a producer / friend of Kevin Smith since Clerks. Very cool to see. Yeah, and he's worked as a producer with Kevin Smith a lot of time. Listen, Scott's been working in the entertainment industry a long, long time. A long, long time. And quite frankly, while I was not all that excited by the trailers or the marketing of The Grinch, one of the things that did pique my interest was that Scott was one of the producers. That's one of the things that piqued my interest. Didn't change my overall impression that I still didn't have very high expectations of the film, but it at least made me a little bit more curious about it. So yeah, that is a pretty cool thing to see. A nice little bit of trivia there too, Trevor. Aram writes, have you seen the 1987 film Real Men with Jim Belushi and John Ritter? It's a quirky buddy cop film. Saw this 1,000 times when I was younger. Underrated. You know what? I never have. I remember as a kid going into like the Rogers Video. That's what we had up in Canada. We had Blockbusters as well, but Rogers Video was like the big DVD store and the video rental store. And I remember as a kid going in and every once in a while seeing Real Men on the shelf. But I never watched it, which is really odd because I actually like Jim Belushi. And obviously everybody likes John Ritter for sure, but I've always liked Jim Belushi. Not everybody loves Jim Belushi. I did. In particular, Jim Belushi is hilarious in this tragically underrated romantic comedy that he's in with Minnie Driver and David Duchovny of X-Files fame called Return to Me, one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. And Jim Belushi's in that as well, and he's awesome. But no, actually, even though I saw it a bunch as a kid and I thought about grabbing it once or twice, I never did watch Real Men. Never did watch it. But thanks for sharing that with everybody around. That's a cool deep cut right there. All right. Trojan of Narnia writes, The Last Jedi had a better plot, but The Force Awakens had better characterization. Do you agree? I sent in this question before, but you misread plot as plot. Oh, yes, that's right. And I remember a few people commented in the comment section pointing that out to me. I totally misread your question before. I will actually disagree, and I'm kind of in the reverse. I thought The Force Awakens had the better plot. I did. I thought the overall plot of I liked The Last Jedi, but overall I thought the plot was weak. And to me, the best thing about the movie, to me, was the characterizations. At least for a couple of them. In particular, Luke. And it's funny because a lot of the issue that many people take with The Last Jedi was the characterization of Luke. I thought the characterization of Luke, the characterization of Luke was brilliant. Brilliant. It was deep. It went beyond just the surface fan expectations. I thought it was radically consistent with the character. I thought it was bold and brave and did something very cool with that character. You guys know, I have a number of issues with The Last Jedi. Plot is one of them. How they use some of the other characters is another one of them. The whole Canto Bites stuff was terrible in my opinion. But to me, the characterization of Luke was the strongest part of the movie. And I will openly, willingly debate, nobody will debate me on that, of course, but I will openly debate anybody on that, about the validity of the characterization of Luke in that movie. I thought it was fantastic. But I believe the plot was weaker. I believe there was more weaknesses beyond the plot. I believe there were more weaknesses to this film than there were in The Force Awakens. So overall, I feel a little bit of the reverse of you, Trojan. I feel like the characterization overall, because of Luke, was a little bit better in The Last Jedi, but I thought the plot in The Last Jedi did not serve the movie very well. And I thought it was a much better representation in The Force Awakens instead. But that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. It's just how I felt about it. You felt a little bit differently about it. And that's totally cool. Thanks for clarifying that for me, man. All right, Victor Watson writes, John, did see Venom made? Yes, we did. We've now answered that question 5 times, I think. Did you see Venom made 111 million in China? They just might cross 700 million before it's over and done. I think 700 million is a much more realistic possibility than 800 million. Still not sure it'll get to 700, but I think 700 is definitely a possibility. Yep, it could become a $700 million film. Venom, the movie said, would never work without Spider-Man. Remember that? And it did. And it did work perfectly fine without Spider-Man. Patrick Conway writes, saw that Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds coming. Oh, you saw that Pokemon movie? Pokemon. Oh, yeah, dude, that's old news. That's like over a month old. Maybe even 2 months old now. Yeah, we talked about that on the John Campea show a while ago. I believe it's called Detective Pikachu. I believe that's the name of the film. It's Detective Pikachu. And it's an odd choice. It's an odd choice for a movie to make. All I can assume is that they must have had a ridiculously cool idea. So whether or not that actually pans out and plays out, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see here. Ben Hayusa writes, Overlord was fun and intense. It was definitely intense. That's the word me and my buddy Soul used the most when we came to that movie. Intense. Intense. Overlord was fun and intense. There were scenes that had my eyes glued to the screen. Had a good time, too, watching it. Fantastic Beasts this Thursday. Yeah, Fantastic Beasts, I like it. It's not getting great critic reviews right now. And I am not the world's biggest Potterhead by any stretch of the imagination. I thought Fantastic Beasts was bold. I thought it was a bold film. I liked it. I like Fantastic Beasts. But absolutely, man, you nailed the word that I would use the most to describe Overlord. Intense. Absolutely, it was intense. Joe Clem 15 writes, more acting range, Russell Crowe or Will Smith? Oh, easy, Russell Crowe. That's no shade on Will Smith. Russell Crowe, I believe, and I believe this for a long time, and I firmly believe this, and I'll defend this. Russell Crowe, other than Daniel Day-Lewis, I believe is the best actor alive today. Best active actor alive today. I think Russell Crowe is the best active actor alive today. I really do. That doesn't mean the movies he's in are the best, but at pure acting talent and range and everything, I'll give it to Russell Crowe every day. So me saying that over Will Smith is by no means casting any shade on Will Smith. I actually think he's an underrated actor. I think Will Smith is an underrated actor. I think he's very good. But no, he's not Russell Crowe. Nobody is. Other than Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't think anybody is. Matthew Mendes writes, dinner with Weird Al Yankovic or Jennifer? Oh, no. You guys have no idea how much I love Weird Al. I have multiple Weird Al pops around, and he is the one celebrity I've been around multiple times, but always been too afraid to go up and talk to. I've gone up and talked to Harrison Ford. I've gone up and talked to, you name it, I've gone up and talked to them. I've even spoken with Jennifer Garner. But I've always been too afraid and nervous to go up and speak to Weird Al. I don't know why, but I just am. Weird Al has been a part of my life since I was a kid, man. So I love Weird Al. Never had the guts to go up and talk to him at like 5 or 6 different events I've been at that he's been at too. And Ann's always tried to get me to go up and talk to him, and I've always been too afraid to. Well, Weird Al. If I had an agent who, say, represented both Weird Al and Jennifer Garner call me and say, hey, John, look, I've got one night open on both of their calendars. You can have dinner with one of them. We'd love to set up because we know you love Jennifer. We know you love Al. Which one would you like to have dinner with? I'll probably agonize over it, and then I'll go Weird Al. Oh, but Jennifer Garner. Anyway, Robert Perez writes, love your skull mug. Oh, thank you very much. Anne actually got me this mug. And it's metal. You can see it. It's metal. Anne actually bought this for me to use on our Dungeons and Dragons nights. But I just think it's a great mug. And it's also a big mug, so I can actually put a good amount of liquid in it. So I love it. Thanks so much. I'm proud to say I am a new Patreon supporter. Thank you for being you. Thank you, Robert, for being a Patreon supporter. Seriously, you guys who are my Patreon supporters make my channel and everything I do completely possible. So thank you for that, Robert. I appreciate it. I don't get likes writes. Did you know 40% of movies in theaters are from Disney? Global takeover. That's not true. Unless you mean like I don't know, like right now at this moment. But there are like hundreds of movies every year. Disney did not put out, 80 of them. Disney didn't put out 80 of the movies this year. So unless you mean like right now, which I'm not really sure, but anyway. Ryan Fenley writes, thoughts on 50 Cent as an actor? He is great in Power. I've never watched Power. I've seen him in a couple of things and was never all that impressed with him. I saw him in that really bad movie he was in with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, that cop movie from a bunch of years ago, and he was bad in that. And then I just saw him in that heist movie with Ice Cube's kid, who was in Straight Outta Compton. And I'm forgetting his name now. I'm freezing on his name. But that heist movie that was out a few months ago, and I didn't think 50 Cent was all that good in that. But I put an asterisk beside that because I have not seen Power. So maybe he is great in Power. So all I can do is give my opinion based on what I've seen. What I've seen, I don't have that high of an opinion of 50 Cent as an actor. But maybe if I saw Power, that would change my mind. Joe Clem 15 writes, just rewatched Bad Boys, Sean Penn. What are your thoughts? Bad Boys. I don't even remember Sean Penn in Bad Boys. Oh, wait a minute. You're not talking about like the Bad Boys with Will Smith. You're talking about that 80s film, Bad Boys. Oh, crap. Okay, hold on a second. What year is that one in? Let me see. You are talking about the 1983 Bad Boys. That's right, with Ali Sheedy and Clancy Brown. The great Clancy Brown was in that too. I don't think I ever saw it. I mean, I was a child when that came out, so I do not think I ever saw that one, so I cannot give an opinion, unfortunately. Yeah, for some bad, I don't remember Penn being in Bad Boys. What? And then I remember, wait a minute, there was this other movie. That's right. Anyway, but I don't think I've seen it, to be honest with you. Let's see. History Soup writes, winner of Daredevil versus Green Arrow fight. Well, I mean, whoever the writer is. If the writer of Daredevil writes it, Daredevil wins the fight. If the writers of CW's Arrowverse write it, Arrow wins the fight. If I wrote it, Green Arrow. And Arrow is not a better show than Daredevil is the better show. It is. But if I was writing that, I think probably Green Arrow wins that fight. But hey, there you go. Ryan Fenley writes, whose death scene was handled better? Eazy-E and Straight Outta Compton, that was pretty good. Or Tupac in All Eyes on Me. I'll go Eazy-E and Straight Outta Compton. There was very good that was likable about All Eyes on Me. That was not a good movie. Straight Outta Compton was a very good movie. And I like the way they handled Eazy-E's death and the way they portrayed it. And it was moving and had everything to it. All Eyes on Me, there's not a lot redeemable about that film in general. So I'm going to go with the Eazy-E one in Straight Outta Compton. All right, guys. We are way over time, so I'm just going to try to fly through as many here as I can so you guys don't have to wait for this to be answered in a companion video. Spectacular Spider Guy writes, he stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog. Oh, one of the best moments in that movie, man. Greatest reaction of all time. His name sends shivers down criminal mastermind's spine. What was so great about that scene was just with one syllable out of that mobster's mouth, established everything we needed to know about John Wick with one syllable. What excuses is there? It doesn't matter. Blah, 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 blah. He stole John Wick's car. It was John Wick's car, sir. Oh. The brilliance from a storytelling point of view on that cannot be over-exaggerated. In one syllable, that told us everything we needed to know about John Wick and his reputation amongst the underworld. By that guy going, oh. Like, oh yeah, we're screwed. I get it. Yeah, it told us everything. So brilliant, so funny. Yes, absolutely. Cornflakes writes, over under 60%, Marvel gets the Spider-Man rights back someday. Oh, someday? Over 60%. Someday? Someday could be 1,000 years from now. So someday? I'll take the over on that. You know, within 3 years, way under. Way under. But someday, yeah. Someday, they're going to get the rights back. Someday. Just how long is someday from now? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Stubble McShave writes, have you seen Peter Jackson's World War I documentary trailer? No, I haven't seen that yet, but I'm very anxious to be honest with you. I know that's been a passion project of Peter Jackson for a long time. Chris Martin writes, hey, John, have you ever had a sinus infection? Yes, I have. Not fun. I'm feeling much better than I was 3 weeks ago. Your show helped me get through it. Never wait 3 weeks to go. Yeah, a sinus infection is no fun, man. Now, fortunately, I haven't had one in a long time. But not fun at all, man. My heart goes out to you that you went through. I mean, there are worse things to have for sure. But a sinus infection, no bueno, man. No bueno at all. Richard Karate writes, with the success of Bohemian Rhapsody, do you think we will ever get a Tina Turner biopic? Okay, first of all, one has nothing to do with the other. One has nothing to do with the other. So let's just be clear on that. The success of something about Queen has nothing to do with whether or not the success or failure of Bohemian Rhapsody would have nothing to do with the possibilities of a teen. They're two totally different things. But anyway, with the success of Bohemian Rhapsody, do you think we will ever get a Tina Turner biopic? She lived a hard life after what she suffered from Ike, so I think her life would be great. I'm pretty sure there already was a Tina Turner biopic. Was there not? Hold on a second. I'm almost positive there was. What's Love Got to Do with It? Yes, from 1993. Based on the life of the legendary soul singer Tina Turner, played by Angela Bassett, born Anna Mae Bullock, discovers a true love singer in Tennessee Church. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, what's Love Got to Do with It? They've already done it. It's already been done. So I don't know that they would be racing out to do another one anytime soon, but it's already been done. So your mind's in the right place. You think, hey, they could do one about Tina Turner. Well, you're thinking along the right way because they've already done it. So good for catching that. Paul M. writes, rewatched Spider-Man 3 bonus clips, and the filmmakers said that they tried as much as possible to show the actor's face for Venom. I haven't seen the new Venom movie yet. Do you see more of Venom's face? I'm not, I'll be honest with you, Paul, I'm not really sure what it is you're asking. The filmmakers said they try as much as possible to show the actor's face for Venom. I haven't seen the new Venom movie yet. Do you see more of Venom's face? If you're asking me if the traditional Venom, the black symbiote's face, do you see more of that? Yes. I think you can tell that from the trailer. You do get heavy doses of Tom Hardy and heavy doses of the proper Venom character. You do. And by the way, Paul, I recommend seeing it. Look, Venom is not a perfect movie. No. I would even say it's not a great movie. But it's good. In my opinion. But it's good. It's fun. It's entertaining. I had a good time with it. And it looks like the majority of film audiences also agree. And a lot of critics agree. A bunch of them don't, but a bunch of them do. I would recommend checking it out. Again, not being really clear on what it is your question is actually asking. Do you see the actual face of Venom? Yes, you see plenty of Venom. Plenty of Venom in this movie. That's not something you have to worry about. There might be other things to worry about, but that's not one of them, Paul. That's not one of them. Thanks for the question, dude. Spencer Smothers writes, pardon me, over under 40%, we get a Far From Home trailer by the end of the year. Let's see. Far From Home is scheduled to come out in July. I'm going to say under 40%, because by the time January hits, the movie's still over 6 months away, 7 months away. Wait a second. January, okay, February, if it opens January 1st, February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, so still 6 months away. January 1st is still more than 6 months away from the release of Spider-Man Far From Home. And we still got 2 other movies coming out before that. We got Captain Marvel and Avengers 4. Now, I'll take the under. I'll take the under on that. Doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I'll take the under on 40%. Michael Jones writes, hey, John, did you see what Venom did in China? 6th question about this. Did you see what Venom did in China? 111 million opening weekend, 670 more million worldwide now. Might get to 800 million now. I don't think it's any chance to get to 800 million. 700 million is certainly reachable. 800 million, it's got nowhere left to open. So I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, there you go. Pablo Diablo writes, isn't it cool that the Gladiator cast comprises of Superman's dad, Russell Crowe, Wonder Woman's mom, Connie Nielsen, and now Joker Joaquin? I have not thought of it in that context before. But yes, you're pretty much looking at the pre-DCEU in Gladiator. I hadn't even thought about it in those terms, but it's good that you recognize that. Yes, that's cool. Nice observation, Pablo. Good one on you. Let's see. Film Boss writes, there's 2 Oscar categories for sound. There should be 2 for cinematography, 1 for camera movement, i.e. Birdman, and 1 for lighting, i.e. Amelie. No, I disagree completely. They're both drastically different. What do you think? No, I disagree. But because they're both still the responsibility of the same person. You know, you can say you can make 5 different director categories. Direction of actors versus directing of the narrative flow versus directing of the post-production process. But yeah, you could say that, but it's all those are parts of the responsibility of the director. You know, you don't break up, best compose, like the Academy Award for best score into best score for exciting movies versus best score for serious movies, best score for animated, best score for period piece, these are all different things. And by the way, in the same movie, you could have music for exciting scenes and music for sad scenes in the same movie, but you don't break those up into different categories. That's all the responsibility of the composer. The things you're talking about are all the responsibility of the cinematographer. Just like the director has 25 different responsibilities, it's still the overall job of the director. So who did overall the best direction? That includes how they directed their performers, how they handled the story, how they directed the post-production process, how they oversaw everything else. I mean, how they oversaw pre-production. There's many different facets to directing, but it's just one Oscar for one category. Cinematography is the same thing. Yes, the cinematographer, when you break down the cinematographer's job, or the director of photography's job, it does comprise of several different elements, but it's still all under the umbrella of the director of photography or the cinematographer. So no, I don't believe that you should break those up into separate categories. That's still all if you did, you have to break up, you'd have to create 5 or 6 different director categories. And I don't think you should do that either. So that's just the way I feel about it, though. Interesting take on it, though, Film Boss. It's an interesting take. Koba writes, Lawrence of Arabia was about World War I. Good point. Yes, again, I'd have to sit there and I'd have to think about it. Which ones are World War I films again? Which one are hard for me just to answer off the top of my head, but good observation. In that case, I would take Lawrence of Arabia, because you guys know Lawrence of Arabia is one of my all-time favorite films. War Horse is great. I love War Horse, but yes, I would have to put that. But then again, I might think of some other ones later that I might even trump over Lawrence of Arabia. Good observation, Koba. Tristan Larison writes, Castlevania Season 2 is amazing. Still haven't seen it. I did see Season 1. I was one of the first guys to watch Season 1. And it tailed off a little bit at the end, and it was only 4 episodes, but I quite liked Castlevania Season 1. I liked it a lot, but I have not had a chance to watch Season 2 yet because I'm behind on a whole hell of a lot of television. I just don't have that much time. But I've heard good things about Tristan, and I do want to check it out. Ronald Chung writes, thoughts on the new Doctor Who? Still, I haven't watched. I've said many times on my show I haven't had a chance to watch it. I am interested in checking it out. You guys have made me interested in checking it out, but I have not seen it yet. I've heard good things. I like what I'm hearing about how they've set it up to be self-sustaining, that I don't need to know all the other Doctor Who lore to be able to jump in and start watching it. I like the idea, but I have not had a chance to watch it yet. Digital JP writes, the best part about Spider-Man 3 is that allowed me to love the Venom movie so much more. Yeah, I mean, that's an optimistic way of looking at it. I certainly prefer their characterization and how they used Venom in the new Venom movie than they did in Spider-Man 3. But you're right. That's good on you, Digital. You found a silver lining. You found a silver lining for Spider-Man 3, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but you did it. Good on you. Mark C. writes, John, have you heard anything about the classic content on the Disney streaming service? I'm hoping they put the Guy Williams Zorro TV show on it. I've heard nothing. Nothing. Other than the new stuff they're talking about. Like there's a Lady and the Tramp live action movie they're making specifically for the streaming service. There's obviously The Mandalorian. They're talking about, they just announced a Cassian movie from, of course, Star Wars Rogue One. A Cassian TV show, I should say. That's going to be there. We know about the Loki limited series, Scarlet Witch, all that stuff. But as far as the classic older content, I still have heard nothing. And how are they going to divide up content that they put on the Disney streaming service, Disney Plus, versus Hulu, which they're going to be a majority shareholder in now? Because once they take over Fox, they will become the majority shareholder of Hulu. So how are they going to divvy that up? There's a lot of interesting questions here still to be answered. We're going to have to see how that all turns out. Cisse writes, and last 3 questions of the day. Today's been a long one. Last 3 questions of the day. I saw Peter Jackson's They Shall Not Grow Old. I really do want to see this. For the World War I centenary, it was very stirring and a true achievement for veteran remembrance. All I know, I still haven't watched a trailer for it, is that this particular project has been a passion project for Peter Jackson for a long time. For a long time, this has been a passion project of his. And he's been very invested in it. It's been very important to him. And I'm very curious to check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm glad you have, Cisse, and I'm really happy to hear your response to it. So I'm hoping I have the same one. I really am. So thank you for sharing that, dude. I appreciate that. Last 2 questions. Dooley writes, I had a really good question yesterday, but I didn't watch live. Anyways, keep up the great work. Everything I know about movies, I learned from you. So thanks since 2011. Well, there was no live show yesterday. Yesterday was Saturday. So maybe Friday you meant you had a show in? I don't remember. Hopefully your question did get answered. If not, email me and let me know. But hopefully it did. And thank you so much for the kind words, man. And thanks for watching along with me since 2011. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, dude. Final question of the day. It's good because my voice is just about gone. Mark C. writes, I am a fan of bad cinema. I think we all are to some degree. In the early 80s, Terrence Hill made a movie called Super Fuzz of Super Snooper. It's about a cop who gets powers but loses them when he sees the color red. It's wonderfully terrible. Have you seen it? No, but I completely want to now. Hold a second. Let me search this. Super Fuzz, 1980. Oh, it's 2 separate words. It stars Terrence Hill. Ernest Borgnine's in it? Are you kidding me? No. Okay. Number 1, no. I have never seen, nor have I even heard of this movie. And I am now obsessed. I have to find this movie, and I have to figure out where I can watch it. Can you guys do me a favor? If any of you happen to know where online you can watch this, can you tweet it to me? Just at John Campea is my Twitter handle, just at John Campea. Can you tweet me if you know of where I might be able to watch this? Because as of right now, I am obsessed. I want to see this because it sounds outrageous. Loses his powers when he sees the color red. I'm on board. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Oh my gosh. So that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you guys for being here. Number 1, for supporting the show. Number 2, for giving such great questions for us to talk about and tell me about movies like Super Fuzz. You're wondering why I just got shocked and scared when my door suddenly opened. I didn't even know this guy was in the house. And I should probably check. I'm not even really sure who this is. I should probably find that out. I'm still shaking when the door opened. Anyway, guys, don't forget the John Campea Show will be back again tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be in the new studio. That's the plan. So hopefully we're going to be in the new studio tomorrow. Check it out. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next show, bye-bye.